Hey, what's going on, guys? Phil here. Welcome back to another MW video. Today, we're going to be diving into the 8v8 discussion topic that I'm sure you're here to hear me rant about. Okay, so this is actually a quick play weekend event. It started last Friday, and it actually ends today on patch day. The new Axeman retro design is live on the store, nogutsnogalaxy.net. Use retro15 to get 15% off all orders store-wide. Enjoy. I think it's actually really cool that it was done, but there's a few things that I want to go ahead and address. One, if there's going to be a future quick play event like this in the future where you're messing with the queue size or anything like this, I think it needs to be solo. Two, does 8v8 solve all of MWO's problems? No. And 3, is 12v12 bad? Also no. So let's go ahead and dive into my hot takes here. Look, guys, there's a lot of stuff going on in the game. And I know that Teos posted on the forums some feedback here, whether it's time to kill issues, whether it's finding matches, and so forth and so on. Now, I'm a little confused here, because 8v8 has been discussed, of course, for the past few years. But the real question I have, and if Teos, if you're listening to this, is this. What are you trying to fix? Specifically, is there a matchmaker issue as far as people are failing to get matches? Is it a population issue? Is it a fair play issue? You want the match quality to be a little bit better. Now, this is a very deep subject. You've got a lot of opinions out there. Whether 8v8 or 12v12. Let me get this just out there for you guys. They're just different. I don't care about 12v12 more than 8v8, but they're significantly different in how the game plays and what needs to happen to make them work. At the moment, the game is designed around 12v12. What do I mean by that? Weapon balance, mech balance, the maps, the placement of objectives on the maps. The game modes themselves are going to play a little bit different depending if it's 12v12 or 8v8. Now, my experience playing yesterday throughout the entire day, I saw something I'd seen before. 8v8 changes the dynamic of the game. What does 8v8 do versus 12v12? The first thing you're going to notice is there's less firepower out there. There's less mechs out there. Instantly, as soon as you start, it changes things, because right now we don't have the matchmaker is just finding people, and it's not balancing on weight class. So you had huge disparity between one group having 5 assaults, one group having 2 groups, one group having no groups. This test did not have any type of it was just the regular matchmaker. From my understanding, Teos even posted this on Discord, which was it. All it did was change 8v8. So you still had 4-man groups. You could still do a 3-man group. You would get a 3-man and a 2-man on one team. Matches were just as lopsided. It doesn't fix lopsided matches. I know what you're thinking is, hold on, that doesn't make sense. I thought 8v8 would solve stomps. No, you're still going to see stomps. Actually, you're probably going to see them a little bit more. Well, why is that? It's because statistically, the less people there on the field, the more important your actions are as an individual. Now, that flips on the other side. If you pull out a really good match, you feel like you impacted things. But also on the other side is, if you had a bad match or the enemy team had a really good match, you get rolled very quickly. The other thing about quick play is maps and game modes and design like this. And this is the big thing. I'm all for 8v8 if the population or the devs want to do that or whatever, but it's going to require engineer time, and it's also going to require some map time. So let me ask you this, Teos and PGI devs, we still have maps that haven't had their spawns changed in 3 years since Soup Queue was introduced. And for those that are wondering, Soup is solo and groups that were combined 3 years ago. Okay, that was a Paul decision. We still have maps that haven't had their spawns fixed in 3+ years. 8v8, if it's going to happen, are you willing to dedicate resources right off the bat to fix every single map? And that is my pushback. I don't think you do. I don't think you have the resources to be able to do that. If you do, cool. Then this point is invalid and doesn't really matter. But if you can't change the spawn locations, and you can't change the game mode, conquest, dom points, assault points, all those bases. If you can't move them physically on all the maps, I don't want to be playing the game where it's going to be lopsided for literally months, if not years, because you can't address that right off the bat. Okay, so I think that's a big issue. Balance between groups and solos. That's the elephant in the room. No one wants to talk about it. Look, if it's a population issue and this is why you're looking at 8v8, then we also need to have a honest discussion about groups and solo players. Solo players have been hosed since Soup Q introduction. Allowing group players to go against solo players has, of course, caused a multitude. I think it's probably one of the biggest issues as far as balance outside of just maps in the game at the moment. So unless you're going to be making adjustments there, which instantly, and I guarantee you, people are like, well, if I can't drop with my 3 other buddies or 2 other buddies, I'm out. So you're willing to sacrifice solo players' experience, but you're not willing to sacrifice for the greater good your experience. Now, I'm not calling you out, but my point being is, I don't think there's a right and wrong. I think you're screwed if you do, you're screwed if you don't here. If you go down to 8v8, you cannot allow groups of 4. Clearly, we know that much. And by the way, Teos also recognized this. He said moving forward, there won't be any, groups this size. But then what do? Do you reduce groups down to 3? In my opinion, that's still way too much. Do you reduce them down to 2? I still think 2-mans. I think if you go 8v8 in the current environment, you have to go solos. For perfect balance sake. And I don't know if that's what the community wants. I don't know. Maybe 2v2 or 2-man groups would work. Maybe 3-man groups would work. But I don't know. 3-man groups of Marauder 2C Deltas. I'm just looking at you. You know who groups you are. On an 8v8, you think they were tough going up against in 12v12. They're going to be raffle stomping people nonstop. So my point being is, groups and solo is even more impactful in 8v8. And without adjustments, or at least out with dialogue out there saying, hey, we're running into a population issue, which, by the way, statistically, looking at MWO charts, we're no different than a year ago. So I don't know why this change was made other than to experiment. And if that's the case, so be it. I just feel like if you're going to do an experiment, do it all the way. Make it 8v8 quick play with whatever changes to groups that should be done, whether that's everybody solo, you can only do 2-mans or whatnot. There are ideas out there. I've talked to Magic Pain Glove about this. There's hybrid systems and there's changes here. Here's the issue. That requires engineer time. And we haven't seen engineer time but once in this game. And that was to get Event Q and Solaris removed. That's the last time this game has got engineer time dedicated towards it. So unless PGI, if you're willing to make those, commitments, then I feel like we're stuck with 12v12. Now, is there anything wrong with 12v12? I actually like 12v12. I have grown accustomed to it. There are things that I like on 12v12 that I don't like on 8v8. On 8v8, you feel very naked. And I say that meaning like you don't have someone watching your left or right flank as well. You know, I felt like I had to play selfishly when I was playing yesterday. I played a lot of, stealth, not stealth, ECM mechs. I had to, speed. I mean, you hop in an assault and you run it against a group and you just get raffle stomped. Again, there's a multitude of things. You talk about mech balance. There's issues there as well. The mechs have been power crept upwards. Granted, a lot of variants that needed it. But that still means there's a lot of power creep there on the battlefield in an 8v8. I suspect in most 8v8 scenarios, you could just load up on brawling mechs and just push and, a few warlords and GG. That's going to be it. So anyways, there's no problem with 8v8 and 12v12. My point being is it plays differently. There are different things. I'm okay with 12v12. I'm okay with 8v8. I like 12v12 more right now. I don't think the game, everything is solved. Stomps don't go away, guys. It doesn't. If anything, I felt the queue was very stompy this entire weekend. And then when I played, it felt just stompy. You didn't have as many clutch moments as I see in 12v12. You can't recover as easily. I didn't really see that. That wasn't my experience playing this. And again, for those that have been around for a while, we've already experienced 8v8. We know what that's like. And again, there's pros to it, but there's also cons. And I think some of the cons are more, it falls onto the developer to fix. And I just don't know if the resources are there. So I have to just ask, if you're not willing to dedicate the resources, then why are we even doing this? Now, if this is just a fun one-off event, if that's all this is supposed to be, then this rant is for nothing, and it is what it is, and just move forward with your life. But if you are going to do another event, like I said, please make sure you take into, factor groups, because that's really not fun for a full weekend of just solos getting their face pushed in, which they already do. And I'll be the one to say it. I used to drop exclusively solo, for the most part. Monday through Thursday, I dropped solo, and then on Friday, I used to do community days. That went away because the game is not fun 12v12 solo environment. Why? Because of groups. And no one wants to say it. No one wants to, do anything about it because they're too afraid to hurt group players' feelings. Look, group players, you've ruined the solo experience, but it's not your fault. And solos, it's not the group's fault for it either. I keep seeing this like they versus them and blah, blah, blah. The change falls on PGI's hands. PGI made the change for SoupQ. Not the group who just raffle stomped you. Not for the solos that weren't able to carry you. Whatever you want to blame them for. It was PGI that made that choice. I asked that PGI just step up and say, hey, can we at least have a discussion about it? Because we haven't. And I feel like I've ranted about this so many times on my stream. Which, by the way, I do stream Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern through 4 p.m. Eastern. New schedule. Check it out. Because no one wants to talk about it. It's just status quo. We don't want to touch Matchmaker. We don't want to touch the queue because, and I get it, if you mess anything up and the population tanks, it's on you. I get it. But that basically means, well, solo players, your experience just, it isn't our problem. It isn't our problem. And group queue, you guys just keep doing your thing. And group players are like, hey, I really think we should do group queue again. I just don't think we have a population for it. I just don't. I don't think we have the population for it. Even if you go to an AV8, unless you do a hybrid system like Magic Pangolin has suggested. But again, resources. So I guess all this ranting and raving and stuff is just basically saying is there's nothing wrong with AV8. I just don't see this working unless you're willing to dedicate resources. I think 12v12 is where we're at and stick towards it. And even 12v12, by the way, I think there's a huge problem with groups and no one wants to do anything about it. Groups have way too much sway in the outcome of the match. The outcome of whether you win or lose is going to be in the hands of a group, more than likely. And if that group doesn't perform well, then guess what? The other group does, and vice versa. So anyways, I just wanted to rant about AV8, my feelings, my thoughts. Is it good? Is it bad? There's good and bad on both sides. 12v12. And by the way, reference of like a mech coming around a corner and getting obliterated. Guess what happened yesterday? You come around the corner in front of three mechs. You're getting obliterated. The amount of firepower mechs have now, especially assaults and heavies, heck, even some of the mediums, heck, some of the lights, man, will light your ass up. So I find it ironic because it's like, well, 8v8, yes, it's less firepower in the field, sure, but there's still a lot there. Also, there is positives to 8v8. Tio's pointing this out in his thing. Your performance, overall mech performance, Solaris, I think I was 100 plus FPS the entire time in the match. Yeah, that's a factor. Matchmaker being faster. I don't know if that's true. I mean, we found some pretty quick matches, but I don't know if I was really waiting too long in 12v12. And again, is this a population AV8 test? If that's the case, I wish this would have been posted instead of comp Q. And I think he even said this shouldn't have been called comp, Q, as far as like, if this is just a test. So again, is MWO having a population issue? Are we having longer wait times? If that is, just say so. And then we know, okay, yeah, we actually needed to have this heavy discussion. Like if if the game needs to go towards 8v8 because of population, that's what you guys believe, because of population, then okay, well, let's come up with the solution. But the solution is going to require PGI dedicated resources. And I know Krasdax is still active as far as a map designer. I think he's working on a new map, maybe. I don't know. We haven't really heard anything. But if that's the case, if Kraz has the time to go and adjust the spawn locations, and he has the time to adjust the points for, you know, the game modes, cool. Then we can have this talk. But we're gonna have to have a talk about the group size. Is the community willing to do that? I don't know. I'm okay. Make it AV8 solos only, and groups. You know, hey man, your time has you've been spoiled the past few years, and maybe on the next game. I don't know. I don't know what else to say, but I don't think you're ever gonna find a balance between there. Now that all, you know, Darren and Matt do have an agenda. It's called fun. Maybe it's not fun. Maybe you just leave it as it is and you just continue forward. I don't know. So this is just me ranting, and I hope you guys found it informative. Maybe if you have different opinions, let me know. If I'm a complete idiot, let me know. But yeah, I don't feel like there's a solution here other than if PGI says there's resources. If there's no resources, then I don't think we ever need to do this again. If there is resources, cool. If this was just a one-off event, or in the future, please make adjustments to the group size, and you know, we'll go from there. But anyways, guys, let me know down in the description what your thoughts are. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you even know this was going on? This also came out like on Friday, and you know, so it was sort of unexpected. We didn't really know. I think maybe if you would have planned this ahead of time and let people know, like, hey, just FYI, next month on the 15th or whatever, for a week, we're going to be doing this. You know, I think you might have a little bit more participation just because people would know about it. But overall, again, I like that they're doing this stuff. I like that we can talk about it, or at least I feel like we should be able to talk about it. And I think there's some solutions here. It's just we have to have the discussions. If no one's even having these discussions, then why even bother? But anyways, guys, thank you again for watching. Click that like button if you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys on the next video. Until next time.
You know what? This is the new challenge. Tim tries to explain Bite Kitchens quickly while being assaulted by onions. Go! Bite Kitchens is an ARG style way of learning how to be good in the kitchen and how to learn to have fun with knives. We'll be sending you a kit of stuff, including knives, a QR cutting board that will be your access to the world at large. God, this hurts.
For more information, head over to the backer kit link down below in the description.